So continuing our discussion of galaxies, let's go back to our own galaxy again, the Milky Way. So that's our home galaxy. You can see the Milky Way, as we said before, streaking across the sky as a faint, fuzzy, or cloudy band. In the ancient world, they thought of it as like milk spilled over the heavens, hence Latin, the Via Lacta, the Milky Way. Now, we've already learned that figuring out the kind of galaxy that we are in takes a bit of work because we can't see the whole thing. So we're trying to map the Milky Way, figure out where we are in the Milky Way, and so forth. And so that turns out to be kind of tough. We have figured out, again, we said in the last set of lectures, it's a barred spiral. It doesn't have a huge bar, but it does have a bar in there. So it's somewhere between an SBB and an SBC. Now, we can't really tell because we're inside it. We can't get an outside view, look back at it and see. So we think it's somewhere between the two. And sometimes they call it an SBBC. So sometimes it's an SBBC because we just can't tell which. We have figured out the center of the galaxy is roughly 8,000 parsecs, 8 kiloparsecs away. That's about 26,000 light years, and it's in the general direction of Sagittarius, right near the border of Sagittarius and Scorpius. You notice when you did the take-home lab with Stellarium that the band of light in the sky that we see as the Milky Way is actually fatter in that direction, towards Scorpius and Sagittarius. We think the Milky Way has somewhere around 200 billion stars. It might be up to twice that many. It's really hard to tell. Again, we can't really count them all. So it's between 2 and 400 billion stars. Mass of the galaxy is about 1 trillion solar masses. Now, a lot of these stars are very small stars, so an enormous amount of the mass is in the form of interstellar medium. Only about 10% of the mass of the galaxy is in the form of stars. The Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy are two nearby spiral galaxies that are both part of the local group, and our galaxy is actually a little bit is a tiny bit less mass and about half the size of the Andromeda Galaxy. The Andromeda Galaxy just has about the same mass, just a tiny bit more, but it's about double the size. So that means it's more puffed out than our galaxy. Our galaxy is a little bit tighter wrapped. And of course, there's a bulge in the middle. Okay. So side view of our galaxy looks something like this. And again, we're over here somewhere. So when you look into the galaxy, if you look this way, that's why it looks fatter in the direction of Sagittarius, is that we actually are seeing part of that bulge right there. And the entire galaxy, the disk of the galaxy is about 50,000 parsecs across. So 50 kiloparsecs. And then globular clusters forming sort of a halo around the rest. That's not our galaxy there, but that's another galaxy similar to ours. We think ours would look something like that if it was seen edge on. Now that's actually the galaxy NGC 4565. The galaxy about 50,000 parsecs across, about 0.6 kiloparsecs thick for the disk. Now, one of the things we notice is that right in the center is kind of a thin disk that's only about 300 parsecs thick, where a lot of the stars are actually being formed. And then the thick disk is about 2.5 kiloparsecs thick right here. And that's where you have some older stars that drifted away from where it's being formed. The central bulge is between is somewhere about 4,000 parsecs thick, and is about 6,000 parsecs in diameter. Try to look at our galaxy in visual light. We don't see the whole thing because the interstellar medium blocks our view. But infrared light can actually see through the interstellar medium. For some infrared light, for example, near infrared, this shows the interstellar medium that's near us. So what we have here is a map of the galaxy in which the left and the right are actually the same point. So imagine that thing wrapped around you behind your head. Okay. And so in the far infrared, the short wavelength infrared, it looks through all that dust and gas. And now we can sort of see what our galaxy would look like without the interstellar medium. This is the view of what a galaxy would look like without interstellar medium if we could see it from our current location. And definitely you can see where the bulge is there. NASA produced this really cool graphic a bunch of years ago and picked it up at a poster of it at a meeting of the American Astronomical Society. I thought it'd be a really cool thing to make a slide out of. But it shows our galaxy as it looks in visual light right down in here. And then what it looks like in the near infrared, far infrared, and so forth, farther infrared, and radio waves, and so forth, and then X-rays and gamma rays. And so the different parts of this show you different things that are in the galaxy, different energy. Okay. Structure of the galaxy. As we said, there's a bar in the middle. It's tilted at an angle relative to us, and so that's why for a long time, they couldn't detect it using the technology that they had at the time. But so this is an artist's impression as to about what our galaxy would look like if you were to look at it from above. We also said that there's a lot of dark matter out there. The dark matter forms a halo around the halo of the galaxy. So the extended halo, or sometimes called the corona of the galaxy, goes even farther out. And so that can go up to 100,000 parsecs away. So that's the extended halo, or corona, as it's sometimes called. There are stars orbiting around there. Most of the stars that are out in the outer part of the galaxy have these very elliptical orbits that kind of dive through the rest of the galaxy here. All the stars that are actually part of the disk of the galaxy all go around in the disk. And so that means that the halo stars, which cross through the disk now and then, will have a huge amount of proper motion relative to the stars that are already in the disk. Well, for example, Barnard star is probably a halo star that just happens to be passing by right now in our part of the galaxy. And so that's one reason it has a very large proper motion. It's a very low metal star. It is a population 2 star. And so it just happens to be crossing by as we're passing by this part of the galaxy. So in an actual astronomy or astrophysics majors class, you can spend weeks talking about the structure, the spiral nature of the galaxy, and so forth. But we've talked a little bit about the spiral arms of the galaxy before, so now I want to talk about what's going on at the center of the galaxy. We know that we can't see it directly because of the interstellar medium that's in the way, but the interstellar medium, the dust and the gas and the nebulae and all this sort of stuff, just interestingly enough, is all randomly distributed. And so Walter Baade realized that you can actually look through some of the past some of the nebula and so forth, and just by pure chance, there's kind of a relatively clear path that sees into the core. It doesn't see into the center, but it sees into the bulge in the middle. And we call that Baade's window. And so that allows us to sort of see the kinds of stars that are near the center of the galaxy. And one thing we discover is the stars near the center of the galaxy are not quite like the stars out where we are. Okay. Using radio waves, they detected radio sources near the center of the galaxy. And so the strongest radio waves, or the first radio source you discovered a constellation called A, and then B, and C. So the first radio signals coming from Cygnus were called Cygnus A. And the first one from Centaurus was Centaurus A. The second one was Centaurus B. So the first radio signals they discovered from Sagittarius with the very first radio telescopes, they call Sagittarius A. And they realized that's in the general direction, the center of the galaxy. Well, with better radio telescopes, they realized that Sagittarius A is not just a single source, but it's a whole bunch of sources that are kind of running together. And so we call that Sagittarius A West and Sagittarius A East. So we have this sort of extended sort of thing out here. That's Sagittarius AEs. It's a whole bunch of different radio sources. All this is dust and gas and things that are giving off radio waves. And Sagittarius A West is actually the more active region that changes in brightness now and then in radio waves. And right near the middle of Sagittarius A West with the VOA, we're able to detect there's a very small thing right there that varies the most of all, and it's actually the most radio energetic of all this. And we call that, it's part of Sagittarius A, and we call that Sagittarius A with little asterisks there. Everybody pronounces that as Sagittarius A star. And so that actually turns out to be right at the center of the galaxy. And so that's what we'll pick up with our next lecture, is talking about Sagittarius A star and the center of the core of the galaxy.